Hi again. One of the big advantages in doing code generation in general is that you create very stringent and structured code from the very start. For obvious reasons, when a computer has to make decisions about how to code, uh, it has to be based on some kind of rules, and these rules will be implemented every time that you do a code generation. So the code that you're getting is very predictable. That goes for naming conventions as well. As a good Django programmer, I actually started out in the first versions of the code generator using the Django standard, which is snake case. Snake case is with the underscores between the names. And I realized pretty quickly that doing code generation, that was probably not the best way for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is you have classes that are defined in what you call Hungarian notation, which basically means that you capitalize subwords in a variable and have lowercase letters for the rest. And then you have snake case, and you mix these two things together, and that's not very pretty code actually. The second reason is that doing a full-blown web application, you also have to do some JavaScript, and in JavaScript you're doing camel case as your main variable definition. At least that's what they tell you to do. I ended up making a decision, and I'm sorry to say so, but using the code generator means that you'll have to stick with that decision as well. The decision I made was to stick with camel case and Hungarian notation. Hungarian notation for tables, and basically camel case for everything else. Let me show you how that works. I'm right now in the view.py of the comment attachment. Here is the class for how to do a list of these things. You'll see that the model here is pointing at the comment attachment model itself, and that's Hungarian notation. You have a capital C and a capital A. You will see downwards in the code itself, we go to get query set. Here you have a parameter list where the L is capitalized. This is camel case, and everything I write inside or I generate inside the code where it's normal variables, well, that's done in camel case. Parameter list, what do we have else? Get query value, get query struct. Here we are referring to the attachment itself, so that's Hungarian, where you have capitalized at the very start as well. If we look downwards in the code, we will basically see it everywhere. That I've set user, which is a function I call, again, camel case, content type name, camel case, etc., etc. You will still see some places where we use the underscore. Those are the places where I'm calling a function which is already inside of Django. So get form, well, that's a function that I'm calling from the update view, which is a class-based view, and that's a predefined Django view or Django class. And for obvious reasons, since Django likes to do snake case, I will still call these functions and these variables via their original name. That also means that when you see the generated code, when you see a form underscore valid, for instance, you'll know that this is an internal Django function I'm calling because it has an underscore. I would never use that in my own generated code. Whereas if I'm calling comment attachment update, it could be both. It's some class defined because classes are in both cases the Hungarian notation with the capitalized from the very start. If you see a get caller, for instance, with a lowercase g and an uppercase c, that's an internal function that I have generated because it's camel case, and camel case is not a usual way of doing naming conventions in Django. The benefits of what I've done here is I have exactly the same rules for the JavaScript that I generate. I have the same rules if I go to HTML code that's being generated, etc., etc. So I hope that you guys don't see this as a problem, but this was the only way that I could make code that looked nice and was consistent throughout an application, no matter whether I was in Java, I was in Django or Python, or I was in HTML. It would have been a mess if I didn't do it this way. So, well, that's just the way it is. As a matter of fact, I'm using as the editor, I'm using PyCharm, which I can highly recommend, by the way. But I had to go into settings in PyCharm and disable what you call the PEB8 naming convention check. Because, well, I would get underlines every time I did something like get caller, for instance. The editor simply wouldn't allow it, but that was actually my only choice. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I hope you understand the decisions I made here. Thank you very much.